All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Diggie Intro podcast. This series is called The New Class. I'm your host, Rob Diggie, aka Rob D, BKA Rob D, and the place to be. Now, on this next journey, as we go through the new class, as I mentioned to you all earlier in previous episodes, is when we interview independent artists in different parts of their career. So we've had the pleasure of talking to Hida Castro, James Worthy. We got to talk to Young Bleed a couple weeks ago. And now I get the pleasure of talking to International Nova. Now, if you don't know who International Nova is, that is your fault, not mine. International Nova is a phenomenon. He had an album dropped in 2013 called A Point of No Return. I don't know if you all have listened to that. Go back and check it out. It's dope. It's right over here off to my left hand side over here. That album down here in this lower hand corner. Go check it out. Go look for it on iTunes. Go download it. One of the songs that I like the most off there, he probably gonna laugh when I tell him this, is Manches and Armaduras with Tony Sunshine. That song is dope as fuck, bro. Like that's the shit. And then he kind of went on a musical break in a sense for a couple of years. You know, life happens, but he was still recording, still working, still moving, but working behind the scenes a little bit. And then he started to come out with a little bit more music. So some of the other songs that you may have heard him have is Favorite Girl featuring Hero, which was dropped in 2018. Another one is called Freak from 2018 as well, which kind of is a flip sample of Dina Howard's Freak. I think it's called Freak Like Me for the old school heads out there. And then his current single right now is called Controller, which is the one behind me here from the island. So Controller's out there right now. You guys go out there, support International Nova, download it. It's a dope song featuring PD Pablo, that homeboy from North Carolina. And so International Nova is internationally known for a reason. And he is very well respected within the industry. And he is coming out to hang out with Diggie Intro for the evening. So let me bring him in for them all, you guys, so you all can meet him. So International Nova, was good, my big homie? Talk to the people and let them know who you are one more time, man.
Diggy, what's up, man? Thank you for that that beautiful introduction. What's up, world? I go by the name of International Nova, man. I'm a Latin hip-hop artist from the Bronx, born and raised in the Bronx, BX till I die. And I'm now residing in Atlanta, man. And, you know, I just want to thank you guys for having me. Diggy, thank you for bringing me on. Dope platform, man. And I'm here, man. Let's get it.
Let's get it, man. Let's get it from our hometown, Atlanta, Georgia, man. We talked about that before we tape. Man, like, it's crazy. You being from the Bronx. My family's from New York as well, so I got New York roots, but we moved to Atlanta when I was young, and that's where I get that mix of the Southern style, but the East Coast ear. So kind of where it all comes together. But my roots are in Atlanta, man. So let's jump into it, man. Thank you for coming on board this evening. And I want to start out with, what is the story of International Nova? How did you become International Nova?
Well, you know, for me, International Nova was and is, you know, a Spanish kid from the Bronx with a dream, man. You know, I think I was very lucky. You know, growing up in projects, growing up in the hood, single parent home, you know, which is a story that we've heard a lot before. But you know, I was lucky, man. I came out of a really rough area in the Bronx, you know, the South Bronx. And I was just a Spanish kid that fell in love with music, man, you know, from day one. You know, I remember, you know, the way I kind of fell into hip hop, we lived in this apartment building and there was a guy, this is back in the bootleg days. I was like,
okay.
Like 6 years old, running around, you know, in the building. And we had this dude, man, who was selling bootleg tapes and mixtapes and CDs.
Okay.
And he would store the stuff in the basement of the building, of the project building. And, you know, a lot of the kids knew this, but only me and like one of my friends had enough balls to go in there and break into the stuff. And so we broke into the guy's locker or whatever the hell it was, closet. And I remember what I grabbed was Tupac, Me Against the World.
Dope album.
And that started my love for hip hop and my love for Tupac and the Outlaws. And that's how I started my musical journey. At 6 years old, Me Against the World.
That's, you know, that's an exceptional album. What a way to start your hip hop career, yo.
Exactly, right. And then from there, teenage years, you know, became really close friends with Tony Sunshine.
Okay.
Squad, and he kind of took me under his wing. And you know, that's how my industry journey started. You know what I mean? From learning from him. And fast forward, you know, years later, I'm here now. toured internationally, have #1 records in different countries. I've been blessed, bro. I've been blessed.
I feel you, man. And from listening to your music, I love the way that you are able to take your life experience and put it into sound and put it into art. Oftentimes when I talk to different artists, it's nothing different than what an artist does and what a painter does. To me, it's the same exact analogy where you paint a picture, you know what I'm saying? Whereas an artist thinks of it as words on paper, you put it together and you present it to the world, right? So it's not nothing different than what a painter does, you know what I mean? So I love your music, man. I've been a fan since 2013, man. I heard your stuff back then and I was like, yo, like you kind of, I almost thought you fell off, but now we're talking about you, talking to you rather, you know, about that gap. So now I understand, like you were still working, just, you know, had to take a different route for a little bit. And I get it, brother. I get it. Life happens and you got to turn left for a little bit before you can turn back right. I get it. I understand that, man. So I salute to you for that. And then the next area that I want to go into is about life and legacy. So what is something that you learned from your life that will contribute to your legacy?
Nothing is given. Everything is earned. You know, I think it's something we touched on earlier, just behind the scenes, that, you know, I've never asked for a handout. I've never wanted a handout. I wanted to work for everything that I got. And I think I've been very lucky in this industry that people respected my grind. You know, before I became International Nova, I was just this kid trying to be a rapper, right? Trying to sing. And I was just very lucky that I had a sponge for a brain, and I've always wanted to learn. And I wanted to learn on my own and not have to depend on somebody to give me something and to live and teach me, you know, the game. I learned by watching, by observing, by YouTube, you know what I mean? Things like that. And for me, you know, it was all about earning my way, my keep. And so for me, that's the one thing that I learned in life growing up in the hood. You know, you're not going to be handed anything. You know what I mean? You have to really watch, learn, observe the streets, know how to navigate the streets. And it's the same thing in this industry.
Yeah, I feel you, man. And what I tell people all the time too is, you know, I'm a college educated man, but I wasn't always the smartest guy in the room. Nor do I ever want to be, nor do I need to be. However, I will outwork your ass. I will outwork you. I will out hustle you. Like, I don't have to be the smartest cat, but when it comes to work ethic and gaining people's respect is one of the things that I want to, you know, kind of pursue in life. And that's what I want to have for my own legacy is my work ethic. I want my work ethic to speak for itself. Like, you know what I mean? I want people to be like, you know what, man, that dude Rob, man, like, he wasn't the smartest cat, but he'll work his ass off. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want. You know what I'm saying?
That's the one thing that I tell everybody. Two things that I always tell people. You can't teach. You can't teach work ethic.
Yep. And
you can't teach the ear. You know what I'm saying? Word. Certain people have that ear, like a Diddy.
Yeah.
And certain people don't have that ear. And that's not something you can teach. It really is. And that's the same thing for having drive, having hunger and work ethic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think on top of to your point, I would throw maybe another element into that is professionalism is also a forgotten. Oh my God, man! Like it's like a forgotten attribute in a sense nowadays, right? It's like, you know, I was in the military, so I was trained to be on time, or if on time is late, so I'm always 10 minutes early. I got my stuff ready to go, and like, what happened to basic professionalism, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't we get it right? I'm saying we as a people, it's all of us, you know what I mean? Black and brown folks, why can't we get it together? Why can't we be on time for things, man? Like, come on, bro. Like, can't we just learn basic professionalism? Like, but that's another story for another time, man. But yo, I just want to talk to you about your life and legacy, man. And like, it seems like you're very knowledgeable in your very short years. You learned a lot. You've been around the industry, which brings me to our next bucket of discussion, which is my favorite topic. And that is what this podcast is about. And that is hip hop. So International Nova, what is your take on the current state of hip hop in 2021? How do you feel? Are we in a good state right now, or what do you think?
I'm gonna answer that in a real simple way. Okay. Right? How do I feel about hip hop, or what do I feel about hip hop? I am now doing Latin music full time.
So that answers the question.
Yeah, you know, don't get me wrong. I think that what I do is a fusion of Latin and Afro and hip hop and R&B because I am. But I just feel like, you know, and I'm not going to do what everybody does and kind of talk shit about different forms of hip hop.
Yeah.
I just hate the fact that there's no originality.
Yeah.
All right. I'm young, you know what I'm saying? I'm not as old as a lot of these artists, so it's different for me. But I was raised to value music. I was lucky enough to be around legends since I was a kid. So I know what talent is, right? And I know what quality music is. And that's one of the things that I try to portray in my music, right? It's quality music. And I think that a lot of times we as artists, and I say we because that's this whole creative
absolutely.
We sometimes lose sight of that. We want to put music out, and it's quantity over quality at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. So Nova, who's responsible for this? Like, how does hip hop get to where it is? Now, let me set the foundation for my question. And that is, do you feel it's the record label, or is it just the industry in general that has created what we now know as hip hop? So is it because we're trying to chase trends, or are we afraid to step out and be original and, you know, showcase our originality? So why are we here? Who's responsible for our current state of hip hop in your opinion?
Like everybody plays a part in that, man. From the labels to the artists, the indie artists now, right?
Right.
But also to the fans, right? Because if the fans demanded a better quality product, and then you have to give them a better quality product.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a Knicks fan, right? The Knicks have sucked for the last 10 years. We've been demanding a better product.
Yeah.
We haven't got it. And because we haven't got it, we stopped going to games. We stopped watching the Knicks. Don't get me wrong. They're still, I think, the most economically popular team in the league.
Right.
They make the most money. But we, as New Yorkers, have stopped supporting the Knicks because we're not quality product. And I think the same thing happens in music, man. I think that, you know, yes, the artists, we are accountable. As a fan of music, I think that we are also accountable. You know what I'm saying? We got to hold these artists to better quality, man.
You know, I would definitely agree. You know, and one of the reasons why I got into podcasting Nova was for that specific reason. Like, I wanted to tell the story of hip hop. And in order for you to tell the story of hip hop properly and correctly, you have to go back in time and give homage to the big homies that laid the foundation for all of this. You know what I'm saying? Back to the 80s, back to Run DMC, LL Cool J, Kool Moe Dee, and Public Enemy. Like, you have to be a student of what they did, you know what I mean, to get to where we are, to fast forward, you know, to the 90s and the 2000s and the 2010s. And like, you have to know, like, there was a hip hop lineage before you got here. And my point being, if somebody put out some trash music, right? Back in the day, like, I think, you know, we'll take Tupac, for instance, right? We'll pick on Pac for it. I love Pac. Rest in peace to Tupac. Mad salute to Pac. But I guarantee that if Tupac heard some whack ass stuff on the radio, you gonna know about it. You know what I'm saying? He was gonna let you know, like, yo, that shit is whack. He gonna call you out. But it seems like no one is a standard bearer anymore, and it's kind of gotten away from it. And I like the new sounds of hip hop. I like where the direction is going. And we're kind of getting back to the social part of hip hop. You know what I mean? Like, we're getting back to, hey, we're talking about what's going on in the street. I love that. It is about the flashiness. I get that as well too. But we're seeing some elements of where, you know what, like, we have a platform, we have a voice, and we're going to talk about, you know, what's going on in the Black and brown community. We're going to talk about police brutality. We're going to talk about the social injustice. We're going to start talking about these things and bring it back to life. So I did see a lot of that in 2020, but I definitely wanted to get your take on that. And I appreciate your perspective on that, because you as an artist, you know, you're a gatekeeper. You may not realize it, but you're a gatekeeper as well. The music you put out, you want to make sure it's quality. You don't want to put out any trash. And I would hope that your team around you, you know, if you put out something and you're like, yo, this is fire, man, and somebody's like, nah, that's not it, yo. Like, nah, that's not it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something else. It's something else. So, you know, you gotta have people around you that's talking in your ear, like, yo, man, like, that's not it. Let's go a different route. You know, I don't know if that's the one, but I think that's you know, having, to your point, you know, the team around you and being creative and not trying to, you know, follow everybody else's footsteps, man. It's already been done. There's already been these rappers. Let's do something different. That's what was so great about the 90s. But we'll talk about that another day. We'll let that.
No, I mean, that's real talk, though. I mean, you know, as I said, you know, as artists, we have our own responsibility. As fans of the music as well, because I'm a fan of music, right? Yeah. I also hold other artists to the same quality that I hold my own music to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we have to, as a people, as a creative batch of people, put out good quality music, man.
And speaking of quality music, so what are 2 songs, Nova, that you have heard another artist do and you were like, damn, man, I wish I'd have did that, man. Like, you ever often sometimes like you have an idea, but someone beat you to it, or a song, and you're like, damn, that was dope, man. I gotta give you props for that. What are 2 songs that do that for you?
I'm a fan of Sway Lee, man. I think Sway Lee does some really dope creative stuff melody wise. Like, I'm really big with melodies and melodic transitions. I'm actually, when they first came out, I wasn't a big fan of Ray Scrimmer's music.
Yeah.
I didn't get it at the time, right?
Yeah.
But as he kind of became more into his solo thing, and how he kind of fuses a lot of these different elements into his music, I was like, yo, he's really dope with melodies, man. Same thing with Drake. Like, you can hate on Drake all you want. That dude is a melodic king, and music is about melodies. And when you as an artist make music for consumption, right? It's things that have to stick out on these records that are going to make the fans want to sing along to the record. That gives it repeat value. Melodies do that. And Drake is a king at the melodic transitions, melodic sonic of the record, which is, a lot of that is 40. So shout out to 40 because I'm really big. 40.
Word up, man.
There's an engineer, their props. But for me, those 2 artists, I really can't pinpoint a certain record.
Okay.
But this is who they are as an artist. Their catalog, to me, is kind of more important. But those would be the 2 artists that I would say. Drake, I got to give him his props. And Sway Lee, I think he's very melodic. He's not a singer by any means. But his singing songs and those tracks where he's actually singing on it are very melodic.
Yeah, I agree, man. Rhythm, when rhythm meets the right, not necessarily the words, but the right lyrics. When rhythm and lyrics meet and combine, like it's dope. When you make that catchy, like like one of the Drake songs I like, and I'm a huge fan of Drake. Shout out to Drake, man. I've been a fan of Drake for the past 10 years, and I'll be on the record saying that. Sway Lee as well too. Shout out to Ray Sherman as well too. I love them brothers. They get you up and want to dance and bounce and party, have a good time. You know what I'm saying? But Drake has a way of putting songs together that is unmatched in the past probably 10 plus years. I'm just going to put it out there. Like, everybody knows how to make music and stuff, but Drake, like, he's masterful at it. But he wasn't at first. Like, he kind of grew into his own in the beginning. He kind of figured some things out. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like he jumped out there with the man. You know what I mean? Like,
if I'm going to be honest, his first few records was trash, right?
Yeah.
But like you brought up my 2013 album. When I hear that album, I cringe sometimes.
I like it though, bro. I like it.
It's like I hear the growth. You know what I mean? Like music is subject, right? It's subject to who's listening to the music.
True.
It's subjective. And people tell me all the time that we love that album. I mean, the album sold out. That album sold out every single store. FYE, Target, Walmart, every single store is sold out. But because of where I'm at as an artist now, when I hear some of those songs, I'm like, oh man, I could have did it so much. But it was dope. Yeah, it was dope. But as an artist, I'm at a different elevation in my sound.
Right.
So some of those things that I tried on that album, I wouldn't try today.
Right.
But I do know that what I did and what I've been doing as an artist and what I did with that album at the time in 2013 was big for the Bronx. Because I'm one of the very few, and actually I think Tony Sunshine told me this one time. Shout out to my brother Tony. He said, bro, you're one of the few artists that actually is from the Bronx and put out a real album in stores under a label. You can go to Target and buy the damn album. You know what I mean? You can go to Best Buy and buy the album. Not too many people can actually say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Damn, you're right. Like,
yeah, man.
And, to this day, like, people always hit me up and they're like, yo, like, you really, you rep the Bronx. And by that, we mean, like, you hold the Bronx down, and not too people can say that. So, I appreciate that. But I was going to say another artist too is on the Latin side, Daddy Yankee, man. I think that Daddy Yankee, what he's done for reggaeton and just Latin music, and the fact that dude is still a problem music. I'd be like, yo, how dude still sound like he's still 18 years old.
Yeah, man, he's a problem. Yeah, no
He's,
doubt. Shout out to Daddy
he,
Yankee. If I ever get him on a platform, like I'm gonna be starstruck for
that dude
real,
is
yo. Like,
that
I'll
dude.
be like, yo, he's a superstar, man. So
Yeah, man.
Nova, talk to me, man, about this crazy music industry that you are a part of, right? So what is it like to navigate through the industry, and how do you navigate it now as an indie artist? Do you have an advantage? Are you at a disadvantage? How is it being an indie artist in the industry for you?
That's a good question. I tell people all the time, I've been on both sides of the plate. I've been a signed artist. Now I'm an indie artist. It really depends on where you are at as an artist.
Okay.
And by that, I mean, if you're an artist that's already been established, right? Like if you think back to, remember with E1 or Koch, they would take all those big mainstream artists that no longer wanted to be signed to a major because they wanted a bigger cut. They went to, that was their independence, and they were killing the game. You had Fat Joe's, Jim Jones, Dipset, Cam,
Yep.
A lot of Lil Wayne, a lot of different artists went and did deals with Koch. And it was because they was already established. They didn't need the big label behind them. They didn't need that promotional marketing budget. You know what I mean? They already had a name. So it was easy to sell their product.
Right.
That's kind of how I kind of look at things now, right? Because as a new artist, I think the internet has made it super easy to put your music out there. But you still have to market that. You still got to put it in front of people.
Yeah.
Now, if you're popping on Instagram and all these different social media platforms, then that's how you do it nowadays, right? Versus back then, it was a TV ad or a billboard outside.
Mouth, yeah, you know what I mean?
So
Yeah.
word of mouth, of course.
Yeah.
So for me, as an artist who's had some success, it's a little easier. And because I do have a big social media following, it's a little easier. But I also see it from the brand new artist point of view, and that, damn, it's hard.
Yeah.
Right? It's get noticed when there's a million people trying to sing and trying to rap, and fake followers and views and fake album sales. You got to deal with all that. Yeah. It can be crazy, man. It can be a topsy-turvy world if you don't really know how to navigate. You have to have really business-oriented people around you that understand the business, and you have to have a love for the music, because I think a lot of artists sometimes get into this industry for the wrong reason. Yeah. And you can kind of weed that out and see that really quickly. And I think that if you come in for the wrong reason, the industry would chew you up and spit you out.
No, that's definitely fact. And even as a podcaster, right? I'm a podcaster, and we had a conversation before we aired. I'm not an artist. I never was an A&R, never was a part of a label. I am just a fan of the music. I would do this shit for free. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even care about making money, because I love doing this, man. I have a passion for music and talking about music, and making sure that I am a gatekeeper of hip hop. I feel like one of them old OGs in a sense. I'm 42 years old, man. I'm an old school head, but I'm right in the middle. So I'm not old, per se, just to some, but I'm not young either. So I'm like kind of stuck in the middle, kind of like how J. Cole said with the middle child. That's who I am, man. I'm right in the middle of those two worlds where I got ears on both sides, but yeah, man, you got to have a love for what you do, and it does show when you do not have the love for what you do, when you just putting out stuff just to make a quota for the record label, and people didn't you just drop a song last week? Why are you dropping all this music? You know what I mean? And that's going to show, to your point, that you got to have a love for the music, you got to have a love for the culture, whatever culture that you decide to do music in, and yeah, it definitely does come down to that. It's not rocket science, right? It's just simple. You either love what you do or you don't. So it's it's kind of simple, actually. You know what I mean? But so with that in mind, with those different styles that are out there in music, how would you describe your music to someone who has never heard International Nova's music before? How would you sit them down and describe your music?
Not to sound corny, but international.
That's what's up.
Yeah, and I feel like within the last 2 years, it's really made a turn for that market, right? Because a lot of people don't realize my name really is Nova, right? But the international originally came from because when we dropped our first few singles under the group Street Corner that I was in, that I started, we were really big in Germany. We were really big in Japan, Switzerland, the Netherlands. We had #1 records out there. And that's where the international part of my name came from.
Nice, nice.
Even though we did hip hop, it was international because we were popping over those places.
Okay.
Now it's international because my music really incorporates a lot of international type of music, whether it's like reggaeton and Afro and dancehall,
right.
Or Indian sounds in my beats and things like that. Like, it's really a gumbo of different styles. Like, even Controller, like I'm singing on Controller, but then I'm also rapping on Controller. And then I'm rapping in English and in Spanish.
Yeah, Spanish, yeah.
And then I'm singing in English and Spanish, so for me, and then it's kind of like, is it a reggaeton record or is it an Afro record?
Yeah.
And that's really my sound. And I feel like that's what kind of makes me unique in the Latin market, because I'm fusing everything. I'm fusing hip hop, which is my first love. Right. I'm fusing Latin reggaeton records. I'm fusing my culture. I'm fusing Afro. I'm fusing, trap and all these different sounds. And then it's kind of like just mixing it up and letting it stick on the wall. And however that sticks on the wall is what the record is. And, I don't have a one-word answer to describe people for my music other than it really is international.
So with that in mind, so you take all your catalog, as you mentioned, you crumble it up, you throw it against the wall, it sticks to the wall. What 2 songs do you pick out and say, you know what, these 2 songs are what International Nova is about? So what 2 songs would you have somebody sit down and listen to and be like, all right, here's all my stuff on the catalog on the wall, but I want you to listen to these 2 particular songs that describe my music. Okay. Which 2 do you pick out for them?
Mansion and Audemars. Gotta be one.
All right. That song is dope, by the way. I'm just throwing it out there. That song is dope.
I'm a watch fanatic, so Mansion and Audemars, of course, featuring Tony Sunshine.
All right.
And Controller, being my newest record, being where I'm at now as an artist. But it fits me because if you listen to my music, I know my strengths, right? I shine the most on female records and on party up-tempo dance records.
Right.
Those are those 2 records, right?
Yeah.
And Audemars is for the ladies. My voice, my tone shines on that. Controller, same thing, up-tempo, dance, sexy. Those 2 records, definitely kind of define who I am. Although I will say this, one of my favorite records on Point of No Return was a record that I did for my mom. Okay. That I dedicated to my mother. That's actually one of my favorite records off that album, and it's probably the slowest tempo-based record on that album.
Yeah, I think it was toward the end, or I think it was toward the latter part of the album, right? Yeah.
It was like the last.
My bad, but I do remember hearing it though.
That album had 19 songs.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was long.
But the funny thing is, I feel like that album didn't feel like it was super long, even though it was 19 songs and that, you know what I mean? But yeah. So those 2 songs, Mansion Audemars, Controller, featuring Petey Pablo. I think those 2 records define me and my sound. Okay. And before I forget, I also want to say rest in peace to my brother, Fred the Godson, who was also on my album, Point of No Return. He and I did a record with my other brother and best friend, Christian Dior. F Up the Party. That was a dope record. No. We got an amazing video for that. We had so much fun. And we just lost Fred to the coronavirus. So, big up and rest in peace to Twin. And, rest in peace, Fred the Godson.
Yeah, man. So speaking of Controller, let's talk about that for a minute. So what's the concept of Controller? And then let's talk about Controller and beyond. So what are some of the future projects? What do you have on deck, or what can you speak about? Well, let's start with Controller first. Talk about Controller. Yeah. How did that get put together? How did you link up with Petey Pablo? And then let's talk about the future. What does the future hold for you as well?
So Controller was actually the second record I cut for this album.
Okay.
What started that record actually was I heard the beat. The producer sent me the beat, and it reminded me of a old Wayne Wonder record.
Okay.
And when I was a part of Street Corner, we actually opened up for Wayne Wonder a couple times, and Egyptian, which is again dancehall, Afro style.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, this record reminds me of that. And I started coming up. I remember I was getting my hair braided at the time. and I'm like literally sitting right here, in my office, and I was coming up with the words and the melody, and the way I do my music is I come up with the melodies first, and then I put words to the melodies. And I was like, yo, okay. I had the first half of the hook, got the second half, and I was like, yo, I got a full blown studio in my house, so I was like, I gotta go downstairs. Here it's half braided. I'm running downstairs to record the vocals.
Yeah.
And by the time I finished doing the hook, I already had half of the verse in my head. And literally the record just was done in like 20 minutes. The record was completely finished, mixed and mastered. And I was working with P.D. Pablo at the time. I met P.D. Pablo through Bone Crusher.
Okay.
And P.D. became like, just a big brother to me. He was recording him and Bone Crusher's album at my studio at the time, which, it's a top secret project as well. But,
no doubt.
P.D. was like, yo, I want you to produce my whole album. I was like, let's do it. And in the midst of us cutting like 3 or 4 records for his album, he's like, yo, so what's up? Let me get on one of your records. And I was like, bro, I'm doing Latin music. He's like, so what? You know what I mean? Like, let me hear something. So I sent him Controller, and I had asked him like 30 minutes later, yo, what do you think? And he's like, I'm about to send you the vocals right back now. And I'm like, what? I was like, bro, it's only been like 30 minutes. And he's like, yeah, I'm done. I was like, what? Okay.
That's so bug, yo. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's a dope song, you guys. You guys go support International Nova. Go check out Controller. Go download it. Go support that, man. That song is fire, yo. It's fire, man. But what do we have for the future, International Nova? What does the future hold? What can you speak about? I know there's certain things or projects you're working on that got to be on the hush hush. I got it. So what can you leak out right now to the fans?
So I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'm so excited about this point in my career, my music. I'm having so much fun creating right now.
Yeah.
And creating this little gumbo of Latin music that I'm doing. So right now the album's completely done. Shout out to Gabe Acosta, who produced the entire project. He is the 40 to my Drake. My brother's man. I think he's on a flight to LA as we speak to do some big records for some other people. But the album is done. Right now we dropped Controller. The record is doing amazing, by the way. We're in the midst of about to shoot the video for Controller. Corona kind of pushed things back.
Yeah. And
then we're getting ready to drop my new single, which is called All the Way.
Okay.
There's a dope vibe, man, of a record. That's going to be coming out most likely early to mid-March.
Okay.
We're going to be start shooting the visuals for that as well within the next 2 weeks or so. Okay. And then I am also doing a reality show right now that's based on Latinos in the game, from the producers of Black Ink and Love and Hip Hop New York.
Nice.
E. Jones, and some other producers. So it's really big. I'm not going to say the name just yet because I think the name is actually going to be changed. But we've already been shooting a couple episodes. I actually just got back from New York today, shooting some footage. So that is something I'm excited about. I kind of shied away from doing reality shows because of just the craziness that goes on in that. Yeah. But this is something that I think is dope for the culture. It's dope for our people. Yeah. Has some really dope people on it, like myself. Mariah Lynn is a part of this project. Stevie Nunez, Anais is also a part of the project. Nice. My boy Jay Music, who is a phenomenal industry writer. He's written for some big people in the industry. So it's going to be super dope, man. It's coming soon. It's actually, we're about to choose the network, I think within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
And yeah, man, I'm also about to shoot a movie. So, one thing I'm doing in 2021 is no time off, man. I'm really going hard this year. 2020 showed me that life is short. We're losing people left and right.
Yes, sir.
So, I'm just really working, man. I'm really excited. I can't wait for people to hear this album. It's a very close circle of people that actually heard this project, and everybody loves the project. So I'm excited to put it out there and see what the fans think. I think that if they loved Controller, they're going to love this album, man.
That's what's up, man. And I will definitely be peeping in. I'm going to be downloaded. I'll be waiting on it. Yes. And our fans and listeners and followers and supporters will support you as well, International Nova. But it is time to wrap up our conversation, my good dude. And in Diggie A2 fashion, we end our shows with shout outs. So, homie, who are your shout outs going to, my good sir?
Oh, man. Once again, rest in peace, Fred the Godson, Gemini from Men at Large. Rest in peace, Ecstasy from Houdini.
Ecstasy from Houdini, yes, sir. Yeah.
I had the chance to meet Ecstasy a few times through my brother James Worthy. Ecstasy is a legend. Houdini's a legend in the game. So beyond that, definitely my team, man. Shout out to my production team, the Society. I just started a brand new production team. Me and my partner, Keys the Mogul, Grammy-nominated producer.
Nice.
King, who is an amazing artist, King Music Official. We started our own production company here in Atlanta. We're doing a lot of records for a lot of big artists in the game. So I want to shout out to my team, my management team, and really, really just the fans, man. Like you said, I took some time off after putting out my debut album, a successful debut album. Not many artists kind of take time off after that. I did, to deal with life. And these last couple of years, man, from putting out my first single 3 years later to being my first Billboard charting record. We charted 4 weeks straight with that record, Wine for Me, to now where I'm at now in music. I always say if I had one person that was a fan, I'm happy. Yep. And I have a lot more than one person, and I don't take that for granted, man. And I don't take my platform and my voice for granted either. So really the fans, man, for supporting. That's my biggest shout.
That's what's up, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you International Nova. Nova, thank you for hanging out with me this evening, brother. We wish you all the success. Thank you, bro. And everything coming your way, man. We're going to be listening to you, pushing all your stuff forward whenever we get our hands on it. But that's all that we have for this evening. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll reach out to you all in a couple of weeks. And as always, shout out to all our fans, followers, and supporters. And as always, shout out to hip-hop music, hip-hop culture. All right, we'll see you guys next time. All right, 100. Peace.